as well. Let's da, 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 da. Big five biggest games on the schedule that are not Raven games as well. So definitely we're gonna go ahead and go over that as well. So last week, week 17, a lot happened as well. Commanders and Falcons definitely an outstanding game again. Um, Jaden Daniels is the real deal. Jaden Daniels is no joke. I mean, this guy, Lamar Jackson 2.0 is what I call him in the draft. It's what I'm seeing on the field. Excellent poise down the stretch a couple times in the Bears game and in this one. Really look calm. Falcons, I think, have a good rookie quarterback. I'm kind of questioning the decision to actually switch Cousins. I think I'm the only one to do it that I've heard to actually switch it. I think they're just kind of anxious to see what Penix has, frankly. I think they've kind of decided, okay, we're not going to, Cousins isn't the guy, so let's go ahead and do what we're going to do in the long term, and let's go ahead and make the switch. They're going to, I don't know if they're going to get in. We'll see this week. Falcons, the Vikings are no joke. Vikings are not a joke at all. This team, I think the numbers on the jersey is the only thing where you're saying why there any type of where there's any type of doubt, hesitation on their part. Quarterback is outstanding. Run game has been outstanding. I think their offensive line is fantastic. They probably have the best receiver in the league, or if he's not one or two, either him or Jamar Chase. Best receiver in the league. Pass rush defense. They're physical, too. They're not just a finesse team. They really hit the Packers in the mouth, which was good. Packers, I think, are really good. I think the Packers are right where I thought they were. Good, solid playoff team. Not quite a team yet for maybe a Super Bowl. But I got to tell you, I mean, they look pretty good. They look pretty good, I think, even in the loss. Jordan Love needs a good run game. I think that was the difference that I saw, where Darnold really doesn't need to have the run game as much as Jordan Love needs to, as much as Jordan Love needs to have it as well. Chefs all over the Squealers in the early game on Christmas. The Chefs, I think, probably. They speak for themselves. So it's going to run through Kansas City. They're going to have a huge layoff. So they're going to play on Christmas Day. That's going to be 11 days. They're going to rest their starters this week, a lot of them. Then they're going to have the bye, then the number one seed. So that's a big, big layoff, even more than usual. But they're going to be the number one seed. Squealers are kind of, the offense isn't good enough. The offense is not good enough to beat the Kansas City, to beat Buffalo, to beat the Ravens. It's not going to happen for them in the playoffs. And the Bengals, I think, you got to kill these slow starts. That's why Joe Burrow's not going to win the MVP, in my opinion, because these slow starts you want to keep getting off to early in the season as well. Broncos, I think, are a decent playoff team. I think Knicks is developing. I think some kind of like Minnesota, not quite as good as Minnesota, but they're well coached as well. They play with a lot of discipline. I think the Broncos are a very disciplined team. All right. So we mentioned this one already. Bengals and the Squealers. This is huge. Squealers now, 8 o'clock Saturday. Bengals, I think, are going to be playing for the playoffs. Bengals need to win this game, obviously, and they need the Dolphins to lose to get in. And to get in, and they need Denver to lose over Kansas City. That's their playoff scenario to get in. I don't think all that's going to happen, but they're certainly going to need it to win. Squealers, still, it's a possibility, depending on what happens in the Ravens game, that they could win the North. We will see what happens there if they can win the North in this one. If the Ravens lose, I doubt the Ravens lose. I just said they're playing the Browns. I think the Browns and the Giants are the worst teams in the league. Squirrels, I think, where they've been the last few years. Bottom playoffs. That's where it is. 6, 7, 5, 6 seed. Defense is really good enough. Offense not really good enough. It's interesting to see what happens with Russell. I think the Bengals absolutely win this game. He said he's not going to rest players. I'm not quite as sure of that. If it's not going to, at that point, you're going to know if you're not going to make decisions. I don't see the logic in playing them the whole game, especially if you know you're going to play next week, especially if you're going to play possibly the Bengals or the Ravens or whoever it is going to be in the next. So we will see in that. Panthers are here because the Falcons have the opportunity to go ahead and win the South on Sunday. So the Falcons need to win against Carolina, and they need also the Bucs to lose this game, their game as well. A few seconds about Carolina. Carolina, I think they're getting the record isn't good, but I think there's at least some hope in Carolina. I think, hey, look, Chris Hubbard, I think they got a run game. They're happy about that. And they also have, Bryce Young is coming along. So they got to get some guys on defense. They got rid of Brian Burns. But I think there's a little hope in Atlanta. Atlanta, I'm not overly impressed with the Falcons, frankly. I think they get in, they'll be 9-8. I think that's about right. That's considering where they came from, too. I think they did a lot to get better. They got better. I think if they get in, I think they're definitely the worst team, I think, in the playoffs as well. But I think they're just waiting to wrap up with Penix next year. I think if they get in, I don't think they win any games. They need the Saints to be successful over the Bucs because the Bucs winning in. Bucs win the division. They go ahead, win this game. They get in. Real quick about New Orleans. New Orleans, I think, finally maybe getting out of the cat jail that they've been in forever. I don't think it's this off season, but finally, after next season, they can really start a rebuild because they can't even really rebuild. I think that's why they signed Kamara and some of these guys because the cat would have been monstrous more than what it was. So they might be Cameron Jordan and Kamara contract and the Carr contract and a lot of this stuff is going to be ending soon enough. So that it looks like they maybe after 2025 season, next season, seeing some light at the tunnel with the cap. Not very good this year. Defense has been terrible all year. Line also not good. Bucs, I think, are a solid team. I think the Bucs should win this game, and the Bucs should get into the playoffs and actually do something when they're there. Chiefs and Broncos in this one. Absolutely love the Broncos in this one. Broncos need this win to get in the playoffs. They've lost the last couple games, but I think they're a decent enough team. Kind of feel about them the way I do Atlanta. They're good enough to get in, good improvement, but you're done now. This is about as far as you're going to get. Chiefs, I think, are going to have a long rest. We'll see how that works out. I think them being a veteran team, it'll help them. Plus, they got games at home, but it'll be interesting. This is that's a long time to wait. I think they are right by resting players, but again, Christmas Day till I think we're talking about the 19th of. I think that's right. Like the 19th, the weekend of the 19th. That's about 20 plus days from football. Broncos win this game, should win it easy. This is the biggest game, obviously, of the weekend, the Sunday night game, the final game in the regular season where the Vikings beat the Lions. I said it. I'm sold. I'm sold. The Vikings I love everything I've seen from them. The line, again, is really good. Darnold is a real quarterback. There's nothing, I can't say it anymore where he's just having a good stretch. I kind of wasn't a buyer, but I'm buying. They should extend him. I think everything I've seen with Darnold has been terrific. I got no problem going ahead and extending Darnold as well. The Lions I really like too. I mean, for most of the year, I said the Lions were the best team in the NFC. That's true. That was actually fairly impressive last week, the win over the 49ers. But I think the injuries on the defense against this offense is a problem. They're missing a lot of guys on defense. And I think that's a problem against an offense as good as Minnesota's is been all season. Aaron Jones and Jefferson and all that as well. So I do like the Vikings to take the number 1 seed. So it'll be the Chefs and the Vikings with the bye in the NFC as well. Who would have said that in the preseason? The Vikings would have had the number 1 seed. There you go. Big Five. 5 biggest games in the NFL that are not Raven games. So enjoy all the games this weekend here, the final weekend of the regular season, and we will go ahead and do Big Five wild card round next week. We can absolutely go ahead and check that out.